So, Princess Anne stood beside William as he carried out something that had been decades in the making. The reaction inside Windsor Castle was immediate, and according to reports, Camilla was left utterly stunned. She rushed to King Charles, insisting he put an end to it, only to discover there was nothing she could do to reverse what had already happened. That is the story we are exploring today. Because when you compare the public narrative with the reported sequence of events, it reveals a long-standing wound that never truly disappeared and a decision that appeared to be carried out with remarkable precision. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to Crown Watch so you never miss future royal updates like this one. What reportedly unfolded inside Windsor Castle has become one of the most talked about royal developments in years. After carrying years of quiet determination, William is said to have arranged for Princess Diana's official portrait to be brought out of storage and displayed where many believe it always belonged, beside Queen Elizabeth on the Hall of Matriarchs wall. Camilla reportedly had no warning. When she saw the portrait, she was said to be completely shocked. Reports claim she immediately went to Charles and urged him to have it removed. What happened afterward reportedly left the entire palace in disbelief. The story begins with a wound that, for many, was never allowed to heal. There is a portrait of Princess Diana that very few people have ever seen from up close. The story of where that painting reportedly remained for more than 2 decades is one that continues to spark strong emotions. The portrait was created during one of the brightest chapters of Diana's public life. She was admired around the world for her compassion, elegance, and the remarkable connection she built with ordinary people. Many believed she brought a warmth to the monarchy unlike anyone before her. Those present when Diana first viewed the completed portrait recalled that she stood quietly in front of it for several moments, taking it all in without saying a word. It was said to capture her character in a deeply personal way. According to long-circulated royal claims, the portrait had originally been intended for the Hall of Matriarchs at Windsor Castle, a ceremonial gallery honoring some of the most significant women in royal history. Diana never had the chance to see it displayed there. After her passing, reports suggest the painting was quietly removed from consideration, carefully wrapped, and placed into palace storage, where it reportedly remained out of public view for many years. When Diana died in August 1997, the world responded with overwhelming grief. Inside the palace, however, several important administrative decisions were also taking place behind closed doors. Royal commentators have claimed that among the earliest internal discussions was whether any crown property remained with Diana in Paris. While the public mourned the loss of the Princess of Wales, palace officials were reportedly focused on recovering official royal possessions. Around the same period, Camilla's role within royal life continued to grow. According to various royal accounts, changes gradually took place throughout several palace residences that had once reflected Diana's presence. Flowers that Diana had personally selected were reportedly removed. Many of her personal belongings were packed away, and over time, several visible reminders of her life inside the royal residences became far less prominent. One of the most frequently repeated claims is that Diana's portrait never reached its intended place in the Hall of Matriarchs, leaving one of the most recognizable women of the modern monarchy absent from a gallery where many believe she belonged. William was only 15 years old when he walked behind his mother's coffin through the streets of London. He did it in complete silence before millions of people around the world. Despite his young age, he already understood that his parents' marriage had been deeply affected by another relationship. According to various royal accounts, Diana had spoken honestly with William about the difficulties within her marriage. She is often remembered for saying that there were 3 people in it, a remark that later became one of the most quoted lines connected to her life. Harry learned about the situation differently. Reports claim that while watching a television program with Diana, Camilla's name appeared during a discussion about the royal family. Harry asked who she was, and Diana reportedly explained the situation to him in that moment. Years later, another chapter reportedly had a lasting impact on William. In 1995, Diana wrote a private letter to her solicitor, Lord Mishcon. In it, she expressed concerns about her personal safety and described fears that have remained the subject of public discussion ever since. Following Diana's death, the letter eventually became part of official investigations and was later reviewed by authorities. Reports state that King Charles was privately questioned about its contents during the inquiry. William and Harry were not immediately aware of every detail contained in that letter. According to royal commentators, when William later learned more about what his mother had written, he also reflected on how her memory had been treated inside the royal household after her passing. Over the years, he reportedly watched as reminders of Diana became less visible within palace residences. Her portraits were no longer displayed in many of the places where they had once appeared, while the Hall of Matriarchs continued without her image. Although William rarely spoke publicly about these matters, royal observers have often suggested that the experience left a lasting impression on him. Behind his calm public appearance, they believe he quietly carried those memories for many years. At the age of 16, reports claim William privately shared his frustrations with someone close to him. He allegedly spoke about the pain surrounding his mother's final years and the lasting impact those events had on his family. Whether spoken publicly or kept private, many believe those emotions remained with him well into adulthood. There was one other member of the royal family whose history with Camilla stretched back even further than William's, and that person was Princess Anne. Long before Camilla married Andrew Parker Bowles, Anne and Andrew were reportedly involved in a serious relationship. According to royal historians, their bond had become strong enough that marriage was once considered. However, because of royal and religious rules at the time, Anne was unable to marry him. With little room for another outcome, Anne stepped aside. Not long afterward, Andrew Parker Bowles proposed to Camilla, and the two were married in 1973, and attended the wedding, witnessing an important turning point in a story that would continue for decades. As the years passed, Camilla eventually became closely associated with King Charles, a relationship that remained the subject of enormous public attention throughout his marriage to Princess Diana. Following Diana's death and later Charles and Camilla's marriage, Anne and Camilla were often described by royal commentators as having a distant and sometimes uncomfortable relationship. Royal author Penny Junor has written that Camilla found Princess Anne to be one of the most difficult members of the family to win over. According to those accounts, Anne remained polite but reserved, and their earlier history was something neither of them truly left behind. After the 2023 coronation, several reports claimed that Anne and Camilla shared a private conversation during a family gathering. While the exact details have never been officially confirmed, commentators have suggested that Anne made her position unmistakably clear regarding royal tradition and duty. Another long-discussed royal claim is that Princess Anne was granted permission by Queen Elizabeth II to be exempt from certain ceremonial expectations involving Camilla. Although this has never been officially verified by Buckingham Palace, the story has continued to circulate among royal observers. According to supporters of this account, Anne had quietly watched Diana's legacy fade from many palace spaces over the years. She reportedly knew about the absence of Diana's portrait from the Hall of Matriarchs and believed that recognition had been delayed for far too long. Royal insiders have often claimed that both Anne and William shared the same hope, to see Princess Diana finally honoured in the place where they believed she had always belonged. According to these reports, the moment they had both waited years for was finally about to arrive. According to reports, William had spent years preparing for this moment. Royal commentators claim he held careful discussions with palace curators about historical portrait placement procedures and reviewed long-standing traditions to ensure every step followed established protocol. The goal, they say, was to make sure that once the portrait was displayed, it could not easily be challenged or reversed. It has been described as a decision planned with extraordinary patience. Supporters believe William approached it like a carefully calculated strategy that had taken many years to complete. The evening before everything unfolded, reports suggest William placed a brief phone call to Princess Anne. According to royal insiders, neither of them needed a long conversation because they both understood the significance of what was about to happen. "I've waited a long time for this," Anne is said to have remarked. "And tomorrow it finally happens," William reportedly replied. Whether those exact words were spoken has never been officially confirmed, but the story has continued to circulate among royal observers. Meanwhile, Camilla reportedly had no indication that anything unusual was about to take place. The following morning, she is said to have left Windsor for a scheduled engagement outside London. According to several accounts, this timing proved significant because it allowed preparations inside the castle to continue without interruption. While she was away, the Hall of Matriarchs was reportedly closed to everyone except a small number of trusted palace staff. Royal sources claim only a carefully selected group was involved, and no public announcement appeared on the official royal diary. Everything was carried out quietly and away from public attention. Later that day, Princess Diana's portrait was reportedly brought from palace storage, where it had remained for many years. Staff members carefully transported it through Windsor Castle before positioning it inside the Hall of Matriarchs. According to those present, Princess Anne personally oversaw the installation. Once the protective covering was removed, Diana's portrait was reportedly displayed inside the gallery for the first time in decades. Measurements were checked, the frame was secured, and within a relatively short time, the portrait had been placed on the wall beside Queen Elizabeth. Witnesses have claimed that the room became completely silent after the installation was finished. Many simply stood and looked at the completed display. Princess and is then said to have quietly remarked, "Diana belongs here. She always did." Whether those were her exact words remains unconfirmed, but the statement has become one of the most frequently repeated parts of the story. For many supporters of Diana's legacy, the moment represented something deeply symbolic. After years of discussion, they believed one of the most admired figures of the modern monarchy had finally been recognized in the place where she had long been expected to stand. According to reports, Camilla returned to Windsor the following morning expecting an ordinary day. That expectation reportedly changed almost immediately. As soon as she learned what had taken place, royal commentators claim she was completely taken by surprise. Sources allege she demanded that Diana's portrait be removed without delay and requested an urgent meeting with William. She also reportedly appealed to King Charles, hoping he would intervene. However, according to those same reports, none of those requests moved forward. Royal insiders have claimed that, for the first time in many years, Camilla discovered there were decisions within the institution that she could not influence. The portrait remained exactly where it had been placed. Even more significant, according to palace observers, was King Charles's response. Throughout the years, Charles had consistently supported Camilla through public criticism, institutional challenges, and intense media attention. Many believed he would once again step in on her behalf. Instead, reports suggest he chose not to interfere. No public objection was made. No order was reportedly issued to reverse the placement. Diana's portrait remained on the Hall of Matriarchs wall. According to palace insiders, that silence carried enormous meaning. They believe Camilla realized that Charles had decided to respect William's judgment and allow the decision to stand. Some royal commentators have gone even further, suggesting that Charles understood the emotional importance the moment held for his eldest son and chose not to stand in its way. Recent reports have also claimed that Charles has privately expressed concern about Camilla's future after his reign, allegedly asking William not to distance her once he becomes king. While these claims remain unverified, they continue to be widely discussed by royal observers. It is also frequently reported that William has never forgotten the pain surrounding his mother's final years. According to several insiders, those memories have continued to shape his views even though he rarely speaks about them publicly. Then, according to the story, Princess and entered the room. She reportedly looked directly at Camilla before quietly saying, "It is what Diana deserved." Whether those exact words were spoken has never been officially confirmed, but they have become one of the most repeated moments associated with this account. Royal commentators believe that from that point onward, the atmosphere inside the institution began to shift. Diana's legacy appeared to receive renewed attention, with her charitable work and public contributions once again becoming a more visible part of official royal conversations. Supporters viewed these developments as a sign that the balance within the royal family had gradually entered a new chapter. According to many royal commentators, William's feelings toward Camilla have remained deeply shaped by everything surrounding his mother's final years. While he has rarely spoken publicly about those emotions, insiders have often claimed they never truly disappeared. One palace source has suggested that neither William nor Harry has forgotten the impact those events had on their family. The difference, according to that account, is that William has generally chosen a quieter and more measured approach. Harry expressed many of his views publicly in his 2023 memoir, where he wrote that both he and William had asked their father not to marry Camilla. He described their concerns openly, explaining that they hoped Charles would reconsider. William, by contrast, has largely remained silent. Royal observers have often suggested that rather than speaking publicly, William preferred to work within the institution itself. They believe he waited until he was in a position where he could influence decisions through established royal procedures instead of public statements. Reports have also claimed that King Charles has privately asked William to continue treating Camilla with respect after he eventually becomes king. Although these conversations have never been officially confirmed, they continue to be widely discussed among royal commentators. Many believe Charles understands the complicated history surrounding his family and recognizes the emotions that still exist beneath the surface. At the same time, Diana's legacy has reportedly become increasingly visible once again. Several charities and causes closely associated with her have continued receiving renewed public attention through the work of William and Catherine. Her name has appeared more frequently in royal discussions, while her humanitarian contributions continue to be remembered by supporters around the world. According to reports, Diana's portrait now stands beside Queen Elizabeth in the Hall of Matriarchs, symbolizing the lasting place many believe she holds in modern royal history. Supporters see the display as more than the placement of a portrait. They view it as recognition of Diana's enduring influence on the monarchy and the people who admired her throughout her life. William was just 15 years old when he walked behind his mother's coffin through the streets of London. Many commentators believe that experience shaped the person he would later become. Years later, after patiently working within the institution, he is said to have helped ensure that Diana's memory received the recognition supporters believe she had always deserved. Whether viewed as history, symbolism, or simply another chapter in the continuing story of the royal family, Diana's legacy remains one of the most powerful and widely remembered in modern royal history. Supporters of this account believe the story ultimately represents far more than the relocation of a single portrait. They see it as a reflection of how history, memory, and legacy continue to shape the modern royal family. According to royal commentators, William has carried the memory of his mother with him since the day he walked behind her coffin as a teenager. Rather than expressing those emotions publicly, many believe he chose patience, waiting until he was in a position where he could act through the institution itself. Over the years, Diana's influence has remained impossible to ignore. Her humanitarian work, compassion, and connection with people across the world have continued to define her legacy long after her passing. Royal observers say that the renewed attention given to her charities, public service, and historical role reflects an effort to ensure that future generations continue to remember her contributions. The placement of Diana's portrait beside Queen Elizabeth has been described by supporters as a symbolic moment, recognizing two women who each left an unforgettable mark on the monarchy in very different ways. For many, it represents the closing of a chapter that had remained unfinished for decades. Whether every reported detail surrounding these events is accurate or not, one fact remains unchanged. Princess Diana continues to be one of the most admired and influential figures in modern royal history. Her story still inspires discussion around the world, and her legacy continues through the work of her sons and the causes she championed throughout her life. As royal history continues to unfold, many believe Diana's place within that history has never truly faded. If anything, the respect shown toward her legacy appears to have grown even stronger with time. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss future royal updates. We'll see you in the next one. According to royal observers, the reported events surrounding Diana's portrait marked more than a symbolic gesture. They believe it reflected a broader shift in how her legacy is being acknowledged within the royal family. For years, William has rarely commented publicly on the personal emotions connected to his mother's passing. Instead, many commentators suggest he has preferred to let his actions speak for themselves. Supporters argue that every step has been carefully measured, with respect for royal tradition while also ensuring Diana's contributions are remembered by future generations. Royal insiders have also claimed that Charles has long understood the emotional weight Diana's memory still carries for both of his sons. Reports suggest he recognizes that certain wounds within the family have never fully healed, even after many years. As a result, many believe the institution has gradually begun placing greater emphasis on honoring Diana's humanitarian work, public service, and lasting influence around the world. According to several commentators, Catherine has also continued supporting causes closely connected to Diana's legacy, helping ensure that many of the charitable efforts she cared about remain active today. The reported placement of Diana's portrait beside Queen Elizabeth has therefore been viewed by many supporters as a meaningful symbol rather than simply a change in palace decor. To them, it represents recognition for a woman whose impact on the monarchy continues to be remembered decades after her passing. Although different accounts continue to circulate regarding exactly how these events unfolded, one point remains widely agreed upon: Princess Diana's place in modern royal history remains extraordinary. Her compassion, dedication, and connection with people across the world continue to inspire millions, ensuring that her legacy lives on far beyond the walls of any royal residence. As this chapter of royal history continues to attract attention, many observers believe it highlights how powerful legacy can be. Time may pass, but certain memories continue to shape both public opinion and the institution itself. According to royal commentators, William has always approached these matters with patience rather than public confrontation. Instead of making dramatic statements, he has been described as someone who carefully waits for the right moment before acting with an established royal tradition. Supporters believe that approach has allowed him to honor his mother's memory in ways that carry lasting significance. Princess Diana remains one of the most admired members of the royal family in modern history. Decades after her passing, her compassion, humanitarian work, and connection with people across the world continue to define her legacy. Many of the causes she supported are still active today, while her influence can still be seen through the work carried on by William and Catherine. For many royal followers, the reported placement of Diana's portrait beside Queen Elizabeth represents more than a ceremonial decision. It symbolizes recognition, remembrance, and the lasting impact of a woman whose presence continues to be felt throughout the monarchy. Whether every reported detail surrounding these events is ultimately confirmed or not, Diana's place in royal history remains undeniable. Her story continues to inspire discussion across generations and remains one of the most enduring chapters in the history of the British royal family. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss future royal stories and updates. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you in the next video.